Hi, my name is Allison Watley, and I just want to share my book with you. I wrote it about 4 years ago, maybe more. I wrote it in my senior year in high school, and I've been trying to get it published ever since, and I found a publisher, and I signed the contracts and everything, so hopefully we should be good to go. And this is it. It is called Rise and Night. And my amazing friend Charlotte Moore drew the cover for me way back when, and it's called Rise and Night, and it says, the tagline basically is a quest for eternity if you should live forever. So, and it's my first novel I ever wrote. I've been writing for a long time, probably since I was 5, just writing short stories and stuff. I love to write, so hopefully I can get this one published, and I thought I'd just read an excerpt to you guys, and maybe you guys will be interested, and I'll just give me some feedback, and let's see, where did I want to start? This is the very beginning, the first chapter, so it's about 400 pages long, so it's a really long book, and I got the idea from the Bible verse that talks about the armor of God. And it's fantasy, basically. So, I'm going to read you a little excerpt, and then I'll let you know whenever it is when it's published and when it's ready. It should be about a year, but I'll let you guys know and update you, maybe, and stuff, if you guys like it. So. It was fall season, and the trees were beginning to shake off their leaves onto the brown and drying ground. Red, brown, orange, and yellow-tainted leaves were scattered among the treetops and the earth floor. A slight breeze gracefully took the falling leaves with it, carried to all parts of the land, and landed them softly, gently, to a resting place. To the right there was a worn forest path with leaves hiding the brown earth. A Welsh man rode a beautiful, sleek, black Arabian horse alongside his wife, who rode an equally beautiful brown, speckled paint. They raced each other at thundering speeds, laughing as they went. The wind gusted oppressively and powerfully behind them. The animals' giant hoofs crunched the piles of leaves loudly. Yes, it was loud, but it was a calming, almost musical sound. The man and wife were simply awed by the feeling. This was tradition. A race through the forest just before sunset. Fall made it even more exhilarating. Wind gusted past, and leaves flew everywhere around them, until they could not tell which leaves were from the trees or the ground. This was their secret life that only a few knew about. After the ride, they enjoyed the sunset. She would often paint things of nature surrounding them, as he described it to her. She listened to his vivid descriptions, and then would draw without looking up. This was her occupation. She was an artist, and very good from what the villagers said. After the ride this time, they stopped for a while, for a breath, and panted loudly, and read them with the horses breathing, while laughing all the while. He leaned over and kissed the woman softly on the cheek, and she blushed. "Isn't it beautiful?" she breathed, leaning into him from her horse. "The leaves are all sorts of colors, falling all around." "I know, my love," he replied. "It just makes me want to sit here for hours, just taking in the smells, the sounds, the colors. It takes my breath away." He took her hand, and they rode, slower this time, on their horses, toward the stables located behind their rustic cottage. "Shall I paint it?" she asked excitedly, just as she always did at the end of the race. "Like I did yesterday?" She waited ecstatically for his approval. "Of course," he grinned widely from ear to ear. "You know very well that I'll never say no to that." By this time she smirked in an almost scolding manner, while jerking her hand from his grasp. "Don't tell me falsehoods about what I am supposed to be painting," he blushed, frowning that he had made her upset. Then she laughed, and he frowned even more. He shook his head. No one could be so confusing. By the time she was finished, I do believe she had painted some exotic fairy tale land. Oh, did he feel awful and embarrassed. His face felt like fire. She looked at him with another laugh and continued, "Then I examined my painting and frowned. You sit there laughing. I look up at the sky, and it doesn't even look like what I had drawn." "And you were furious." He wasn't frowning anymore, just laughing. He remembered her reaction and said, You asked, he gasped for air between laughs. You asked if I had eyes to see the world for what it really was, or if I just dreamed like along. Oh, but I really like a dreamer for a husband. Makes life exciting, she grinned. And then she laughed, and he frowned at her statement. He didn't know what he was supposed to do, whether she'd be mad or happy about something one moment or the next. As you can see, they were newlyweds, or close to it. They had been married for 3 years, and this particular couple loved sharing the joy of riding into the sunset. And the fall weather was perfect. They were riding towards their stable, disappointed to have stopped riding and painting, for the sun was just going down. Together they put up the saddles, bridles, and such, and talked about the types of leaves they saw and how the horses seemed ready to go again. They finished and walked back up the small hill where their house sat. The woman stopped dead in her tracks. Her eyes widened like a frightened animal. Nonetheless, her ears pricked up like that of a rabbit's and her body stiff. Her head felt like it was standing on end and she couldn't move. "What's wrong?" he asked her, and he heard it. "Is that why?" He began and gulped as she nodded vigorously without looking away. His hair stood on end, too, and chills ran up and down his spine. It was an eerie, howling noise that's pitch and sound defied all laws of nature. "What is it?" she whispered, shaking. She grasped his hand tightly. "I don't know," he whispered back, clutching his wife's hand, but not as tight. He did not want her to think that he was scared. After all, he was supposed to be her protector. Holding her made him feel not as frightened, and in turn she felt protected. He was holding her around the waist, against his chest. She was hanging onto his hand so tight that her nails practically dug into his skin. That was nothing compared to the awful noise. It seemed to be coming from in front of them, but then the sound was behind them. It passed and changed directions in pitch, and screeched and howled. When people passed by, they stared at the couple oddly, as if their ears could not even hear the strange noise. "Is it after us?" she asked and shook with fear. She clutched her husband's hand even tighter. "Don't say that," he huffed. "It's probably nothing. Let's go back inside." But he knew what he said was wrong. There had to be a reasonable cause for it, but whatever it was sounded unnatural and evil. The seemingly invisible noise laughed demonically. The woman gasped aloud as its laugh seemed to get closer and closer. It sounded like death coming to take away the souls of the living. Its laugh came in all directions. It seemed to just surround them in its vacuum. The couple clutched each other, and she closed her eyes tight. He watched as the dust gathered itself from the earth and took the shape of a column. It formed itself and warped into a human likeness, or at least that's what it seemed like. The thing rode a black horse with a dark-hooded cape resting on its shoulders, with the hood hiding its face, if it had a face. When he looked, he couldn't even tell if the human-like creature was really human. It was hollow inside the hood of the cape. His wife cried aloud and fainted when she saw it. It laughed demonically again, and the man shrank back in fear. He covered his face like a frightened ostrich, sticking its head in a hole. The man bent over to nurture his wife. Then he stood to face the evil thing. "What do you want?" he asked, shaking shakily with his knees knocking together. If the thing suddenly tried to attack, he had no means of fighting it off. Still, even when people passed by, they gave him strange looks. "I bring a message for the king," the thing's voice boomed. It stuck its hand, holding a shining scroll. "But the king is at the castle." "You are the messenger," it screeched into the man's ear. "How do you know who I am?" the messenger whispered. "That's beside the point. I asked one thing of you. Is that so hard?" "No," he gulped. "But there is a rather slight problem," he winced. "Tell me this problem. Perhaps it can assist you with such things that burden your heart. You see, sir, the king does not allow strangers to deliver messages. You could be seen as a threat. Who knows? You might be lying. You're all dressed in black, besides. The king would not take this message," the messenger explained. He tried to be calm about it, but he was still shaking. "You cannot tell me no," it yelled. He pointed a bony finger at the Celt. "You infidel. You are but scum of the ground. You swear to me. Swear that you will take this message at once to the king. Do not tell him who gave you the message. But you will tell him it was not strange. You will go to the king now, and if you do not follow my instructions, I will kill you. And this lady of mine will be mine when I kill you." The thing rubbed its hands together and laughed. The man couldn't see, but he assumed the thing was licking its lips, too. He thought the curse was broken, since he got a job at the castle, but it had apparently come back because of something Perhaps even a demon was standing directly in front of him. He had heard of such things among the defeated Celts, but he did not want to die, nor did he want his wife hurt. But he had to obey the king. For once the man lost all the courage he ever had. Not even a small bit of heroism was falling through his veins right now. He stood there, sweat streaming down his face, writhing his hands nervously. So, that's just a little bit of my book, maybe a page or two. Each chapter is probably about 20 pages. So, and if you want to hear more, I could probably read a couple more excerpts or finish off that video. Probably get a little long. But if you guys enjoy it, I can let you know when it will be published, and then give you a link to the publisher's website and where you can buy it and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.